हेलो guys, हम एक sting operation के part हूँ अभी, and we are back. As you all know, we are sitting in respect of a man who just resigned. It's none other than our chief selector. As you all know, Jaren is here with some expose. He's going to expose all these systematic flaws which is happening in Indian cricket. And of course, it's a good day for cricket, and it's a bright day. It's a bright start. और चेतन जी आप कैसे हो बोलिए does it feel? Yeah, I think we'll
Or
be back.
Hardik Pandya and Virat Kohli will go to Chetan Sharma's house tonight to pay their condolences.
Mm, yeah, pretty much. I think that's the right way to start off a good live today, which is about paying condolences for Chetan ji. Chetan ji is such a nice
I
person.
think I think you're the happiest person in the world right now because we have been calling for his head
Bro,
for a long time
I've been
now.
calling his head since last 1 year. Finally, his head is off. And I don't think it's a resignation as such. I personally think they would have told you would have fired you either way. So it's better you
Yeah.
resign in a respectable
Yeah,
manner.
yeah.
So that's what has happened. And I'm very happy that he's off the radar. I mean, let's just talk about it, right? Then would you have ever done it if you were the chief selector of Team India? Would you have gone on in front of a camera and you would have exposed anyone, everything to a person who's a third party to this entire conversation? Like, I understand if you're talking this to a relative, but a random third person comes to your house, you're going to be like, Arey, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, bacche hain, main Indian cricket chalata hu, or everything which is happening, like 80% injection wala thing. Isn't that isn't that a little bit naive of a person who has played so much of cricket and also who's having a very important position in Team India at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of scary about how he went about it because that probably shows that he felt he was untouchable at a point in time. That
Untouchable, untouchable. Let's go.
yeah, I think that's probably what was going on in his head. He felt he wouldn't be, whatever come may, his position as a chief selector is secured for another term at least, and I think that was his downfall at the end of the day. And probably the people who wanted him to be in that position now could not keep him there anymore because he lost his credibility as a chief selector when that sting operation came out, and rightfully so. Even the things he said, if it had not come in a sting operation, it is not right for him to say that about players with whom he's professionally involved with. And for a chief selector to go out there and say stuff like "I rule Indian cricket" and whatever, it's just scary to see that Indian cricket was in the hands of such people. And here we are wondering why we're not winning ICC tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty shocked when this entire thing got released. I thought it was some kind of a joke. This can also be morphed, right? More often than not, you hear audio
Yeah.
clips, and it might not be the exact thing what you hear as well. But when I heard it, I was a little taken aback when he told this particular statement. I was not favoring Rohit Sharma. We were just against Virat Kohli. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't say that as a chief selector, right? And he told a particular line, I don't have favorites, but I have likings. What does that mean? What does that exactly mean? So I was a little taken aback. He did expose a little bit of systematic flaws, which is good. But at the same time, I'm also very shocked with the fact that as a selector, when you know a player is not fit, how do you let him play? That means there is a serious issue with you as a selector for picking that player in that squad, and
Yeah.
you're happily blaming the player. I think the first one who should take onus for it is the selector. Sandimani, I also feel this is like turned on the drama, right? Over the last 1 year, BCCI has been a joke for a lot of reasons.
No, I think a certain aspect of the BCCI has been a joke. I mean, they are doing certain good things as well. But yeah, talking about the selectors, I think India definitely needed a change in the selectors. Anyway, if he wouldn't have resigned tonight, or if this controversy wouldn't have taken place, I couldn't see this panel or committee of selectors continuing post the 2023 ODI World Cup. But it's good that they are gone right now as well. So I don't think there will be many changes in the mindset of how the teams are picked till the ODI World Cup at least. I think whatever has been going on will continue to, like, the teams will composition will remain the same at least till the ODI World Cup, because things are going well for Team India when it comes to on the field. They are number one in T20Is, they are number one in ODIs, they are number one in Test
Mm.
matches, but only the ICC trophies seems to elude us. So
Hmm.
I hope that with the change in the
Can we buy
selectors,
it though? Can we buy them?
I mean, we can, but we won't because we are integrity is a big part of cricket, at least
I
for
don't know
India.
really though.
I mean, you don't trust a selector who I'm quite sure he was intoxicated, or I mean he was quite a
What
few pegs down.
intoxicated? He looked to be in complete sense when he spoke it. I've not seen a person being more candid as ever.
I mean, intoxicated by power. Intoxicated by
Yeah,
power. I mean,
that's a good one.
uh, no egos and stuff like that. A lot of things take place when you have a certain amount of power, and
Yeah, I
you
think that's what
always.
we spoke about as well, right? A long time back when we were talking about how franchisees are taking over cricket, and we spoke about how cricket boards, and it's not just Indian cricket board. We have seen this, and we have seen this in so many other cricket boards as well, where ultimate power corrupts all. Even though, to be very frank, what do you say? Head of a cricket board is not actually a power eluding position, but still, regardless, you can say that because these are institutions which are run by quote unquote I mean politicians, so as to say, because they're elected to their offices. They don't really have an accountability, especially BCCI doesn't have an accountability as such. You can argue that the fans, I mean, fans like Abel will speak on a YouTube channel, but it doesn't affect Chetan Sharma's positions. That's where the issue is.
I'm
But when it
glad
comes
I've been
to
able to contribute in some way or the other in that entire bandwagon of things. I did tweet quite a lot over the last 1 week, and I'm happy that he did mention it as well. He gets a lot of flack from cricket Twitter when he doesn't pick up Sanju Samson. I'm happy that cricket Twitter has affected him in some way or the other, that he had to actually put his resignation. Cricket Twitter was behind this man, and I feel he's a man who follows cricket Twitter quite closely. That's why he's been affected to it quite a lot, and I respect this decision. There are people. Okay, I've seen people like, for example, Praful Patel from the AIFF. When things really went bad, he really wanted to hold on to that position. There are people who really want to hold on to their position regardless of what happens. For example, when we talk about Wrestling Federation of India, right? The entire
yeah.
protest and everything happened. Nothing really shook them. So I'm glad
But
Twitter could really
but
impact a person in
there is a
some way or the
slight
other.
difference when you talk about the AIFF and the BCCI. I mean, cricket is by far, I think, the most followed thing in India right now, especially with the Border Gavaskar Trophy, Women's World Cup. Everything is coming up. Women's IPL is coming. IPL is coming up. So I think cricket is followed by a huge section of people, and I personally don't see that he had another alternative choice. I think it was about to happen. If he wouldn't have resigned, I think we would have got the news from Roger Binney in a day or two that we are changing our,
Yeah.
like, we are sacking our BCCI chief selector, because this can't just happen. You are a country of 1.3 billion people. You are representing a lot of people. When you have a certain power, and I think he was just trying to boast. I don't know what sort of boasting he was trying to do, but it was weird. And I think he was just trying to show his power. He was just trying to flex his power, and he had no idea that this
But
could
I had to
happen.
pick up this comment. I just Chetan Sharma can join Chetan Bhagat and write a book, Two States Half Selector. That's a good one. That's the comment of the day.
That's a
I'll
great
just
one.
pin that
Yeah.
up. I'll just start this comment. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and also I think for Chetan Sharma right now, I think the only legacy he should have is the first Indian to pick up a hat trick in international cricket. I think that is how we
Oh,
should
it's been
remember Chetan
all
Sharma.
forgotten now. I think that's
I don't
Yeah,
think he's
I
known
think
for that reason, Sandeepan. He's
I
already known for the for his bowling aspect, and that fine low where he balled to Pakistan with Javed Mian, they hit him for that six.
but I
That's
think
what he's
we
remembered
should,
for.
yeah, that you can remember him for his actions on the field. It's best if he is forgotten for his actions beyond the field. Once he started, once he
Hmm.
joined as the selector, I mean, nothing good has come of his time in the selection committee. You might say some of the younger players got a try, but the way he was, I mean, he does not know how to conduct himself off the field. I think
Hmm.
uh, when you are in when you are in a position of such power, you should know how to conduct yourself,
Yeah,
and this just shouldn't happen. And I think it's all that we can speak about for Chetan Sharma, and
and
I
that
think
is
he
it.
does not deserve anything more.
Twice selected, once a player. That's also a good one. I mean, to be very fair, I was very shocked when he got the second tenure. I really did not understand why was that after messing up in two big ICC trophies, after creating all the selection blunders. For him
Even
to
because
have a second go, even
because he
in
has the
in
trust of
second
Rohit
stint, was a
Sharma,
big one.
he has the trust of Virat Kohli, Hardik Pandya, Rohit Sharma. They chill in his couch. He had all this backing, and that is why he got the second tenure. And I think he made pretty good
I
of
love the way
good use of it.
he was very candid saying Deepak Huda मेरा घर आता है, उमेश यादव मेरा घर आता है, and that is why अभी देखा हार्दिक पांड्या अभी T20 टीम का कैप्टन
And
भी है.
that
I'm
is a
like,
very weird
I
sort
was
of
shocked
soft
for a
flex,
second. If
right?
people come to your house, do you make him the captain? I mean, what was that all about?
I think
So
we missed an opportunity. We missed our calling. All three of us should have ended up at Chetan Sharma's house, and tomorrow we would have been captains of different formats,
we could have
respectively.
possibly connected a sting operation on Boomer 11 rather. But yeah, let's move on. I think he says Virat Kohli was Iron Man in this aspect, and Thanos died in the end. I think he's referring to the Avengers aspect in terms of finishing off Chetan Sharma and Saurav Ganguly at one go. But we will talk about it later. Let's talk about a match which is ongoing. It's happening in Delhi, of course. It is between India and Australia, the second Test match which began today, and it was Australia who once again won the toss and they went on to bat. It was a good start for Australia this time around. They did not lose any wicket in the first start of play. They scored a brilliant 50 until Hotstar decided that let's not show up Australia's innings. Hotstar completely broke down all across the world where
Yeah.
I couldn't get a lot of action. I had to switch to Geo TV and whatnot to get some bit of action there. But to be honest, talking about the match, I felt it was a good start from Australia. They came with a lot more intent, as we did mention. Usman Khawaja came out really with a plan of sweeping and reverse sweeping Ashwin and Jadeja. And David Warner once again fell to a bowler balling around the wicket. It was Mohammad Shami who took him first. Then Ashwin's that over, which changed the match completely, in my opinion, where he took Marnus that for that ball coming in, and the same
Yeah.
ball going away took Steve Smith as well.
Yeah.
And from there on, it was an uphill task for Australia. But I have to give credit to Peter Hanscom. Showed once again why he's a preferred option in these kind of conditions. Played a beautiful knock and remained unbeaten towards the end. But Kawaja as well scored that 80 odd and that knock. But once again, it was not a spinner who was a leading wicket taker. It was Mohammad Shami who picked up 4 wickets for Team India. And at this point of stage in the play, India 21 for no loss. At stumps, India will be carrying on their batting on day 2. Pitch looks pretty good so far with the bat for batting. It looks like it looks like a much more truer surface. But there are balls which are keeping low. You saw the one from Nathan Lyon, which kept extremely low. It came he right of K. Rahul. Rahul was extremely lucky to block it out. And you never know how things are going to play out from tomorrow. And also Matt Kinnaman was making his debut for Australia, a left-arm spinner. And what that means is free wickets for him. Debuting against India, they have understood the trick. So they have decided to hand over another cap to a bowler. So
But I mean, Matt Kuhneman is an interesting player. I wanted to say this yesterday, but then I felt it is unlikely. Because I was like, I mean, for me, it was either they're going to drop Scott Ball, and I still feel dropping Scott Ball is going to be a bad decision because he bowled well, and
yeah.
with the new ball, I don't think Australia have that spinner who can do as well as Ashwin does. Ashwin is a rare commodity in that sense. You don't get a lot of spinners who can bowl well with a new ball, even if it is in India. That's where I feel. But Matt Kuhneman is a very good decision because he's someone who balls, who's of the same mold as Akshar Patel and Ravindra Jadeja. I'm not saying the same quality, the same mold, because he balls
Yeah,
quicker
he
to
is.
the
He
arm.
certainly is. And
He
he's not
balls
a
to,
he's not a normal finger spinner, right? He uses his
yeah,
wrist a lot more. He looks
correct.
like a bowler who's a lot more like a Chinaman bowler, but he with his more of wrist movement of orthodox spin.
He
That's why he's a
balls
very
much quicker through
interesting
the
pick.
air, and he will bring your bat and your pad and your inside edge a lot more into play. So a lot of bat pads is the way he will go, but I think
Hmm.
it's an interesting one because they have read the conditions. I think that's where they have decided that Jadeja and Akshar have been successful for a reason. The Australian selector did come out to say that they are a little, uncomfortable about at least not them, but the team management is not all clear on Ash Nega's red ball game. So that's the reason why he's still missing out. So Matt Kuhneman is going to be an interesting pick. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes on tomorrow. But I still feel Scott Boland missing out is going to be a loss because if nothing, he would have helped scruff up the pitch for Australians in
Hmm.
the fourth innings.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely makes sense as well. But other than that, I personally felt it was a very interesting call to go with 4 spinners and actually 3 spinners and 1 pacer. And only pacer you're going to see from Australian attack is Patrick Cummins. Even Travis said ball spin. He's not going to give you any sort of pace at all. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Patrick Cummins is going to operate, considering Shami was the leading wicket taker for Team India in their first innings as well. But now talking about the Test match. So, Dimani, you reckon Australia again missed out on a chance to really pile up runs on day one? 263 looks like a decent score on that wicket, but you never know. If as Mohan has already asked, can Rohit Sharma score 100? If Rohit Sharma goes on to score big, you really think this is an opportunity for India to really seal the series right there? Because tomorrow's day is going to be extremely crucial. And we will come back to the selector questions in a while, Kapil and Teju. And also, Sharath also mentions very similar thing, they have possibly missed a trick by not playing an extra seamer. It could have been even Scott Boland or maybe even Mitchell Stark if he was even half fit, because you never know, right? In these kind of wickets, one ball keeps low of a fast bowler, you could be in play a
Yeah.
lot more. And especially bowlers who ball wicket to wicket on these kind of surfaces become even more potent.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that yeah, Kuhneman handing Kuhneman the debut was a bit of a rash decision, if you might ask me. It was a tactical call. They probably estimated the pitch to play help the spinners a lot more. There is assistance for the spinners. I think Matthew
Yeah.
Kuhneman, like Jerin mentioned, is going to pick up quite a few wickets because they have figured out that the Indians don't play debutants really well. So,
Yeah.
but jokes aside, I think Kuhneman was not in my front running list at least. If you
Mm.
had to go with a spinner, I would have still gone with Ashton Agar because the Australian batting also does not look very deep. When you have
Yeah.
a Patrick Cummins tonight, he came in today. He came in and scored that 30 odd runs. But on more occasions than not, Patrick Cummins hasn't succeeded batting at number 8. He has deteriorated with the
Yeah.
bat. We were vocal about it. And Patrick Cummins coming in at number 8 does not give them enough depth in that batting order, especially with David Warner in no form whatsoever. Alex Carey just coming in and trying to take the attack on the bowlers. But all in all, I think it was a great approach. We were talking about, we were very happy with the intent that Khawaja had shown in the second innings of the first test. And I think that is how you should go about in Test cricket these days. We have been talking about template a lot, and that knock of 81. By the way, great day for KL Rahul as well. A
Yeah.
brilliant catch on the slips, and that was a stunner. The catch that he took to
Yeah.
dismiss Khawaja
Yeah.
on
You
80 odd
needed a
runs.
moment of magic to dismiss Khawaja with the kind of
Definitely, the way
form he
Khawaja
was
was
showing at the
batting,
back.
I think he was going on to score
Yeah.
a big century, and Australia needed somebody to go on and pile on those runs, score a century, at least have a score of 300 to 350, and they would have been in a position of sort of dominance or a position of power, advantageous position. But right now, I think it is still advantage India at the end of day one. India would be very happy, having
Hmm.
lost the toss, having dismissed Australia for 263 on this pitch. I think,
You think
yeah,
India
the ball.
considered it a little too many towards the end, especially Patrick Cummins and Peter Handscomb putting that 50-run partnership?
Yeah, that was
That also did
uncharacteristic.
give me an indication that if you are ready to apply on this pitch, the ball is not turning quickly like Nagpur. The ball is turning much more slower, which means you can adjust to the turn. And there were a couple of occasions where Peter Handscomb really misjudged the line and he was still able to adjust of Akshar Patel. And we're talking about Akshar Patel, who was the faster of all the spinners who are playing this test match. And if you're able to do that, which means the pitch is a lot more slower and you can
And that
adjust
was
even if you are beating for
that
turn.
was very evident from the fact with the two balls that Rahul played in the last over. I mean, if the pitch wouldn't have been slower, I don't see him getting the bat down so quickly, because the ball was keeping very low in that last over. It was almost a sign of concern for Team India.
Yeah.
But that is how Kotla pitches play. You will be completely
I mean,
set,
that is
and then you'll have
something
one
which we
sort
see
of a.
from Kotla pitch on day 3, day 4, right? Jen, coming to you now. We've seen that in Kotla pitches over the years. Then we did discuss this yesterday in depth as well as to how Kotla pitches on a day 4, day 5 is going to be extremely tough for team chasing. And India, if they are to bat fourth, it's going to be a uphill task for them for sure. But now with 263 on the board, you never know, because now wickets can go in clusters and wickets like this where the ball is keeping low at times, and the ball is going to kick up at one point of stage. You saw the very first over where Patrick Cummins was bowling Rohit Sharma. There were a couple of occasions where the ball really took off from different areas of the pitch. So it is an invariable kind of a bounce pitch where you're unsure of what is the exact position to get onto. And if 260 is good enough on these kind of surface, Australia will take it. Australia will be content with the fact that they were able to push 260 from what they did in the last 2 innings of the last test match.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's where those three innings really comes into picture. Those three innings, as in Khawaja, obviously Khawaja and Hanscom, but also Pat Cummins down the order. That 33 runs is vital for Australia to push through 250 mark. It's going to be interesting to see. I agree with what I think it was Khwaja who said it. You need to see how the Indian team goes about it as well to really put a marker on how the pitch is going to behave. If the Indian team is able to score, let's say at 250, 300, that's really going to set this match up beautifully, because in the third innings for Australia, it's not going to be as easy. But however, we did speak about this yesterday as well. We did say that it's going to be much easier than Nagpur to bat here, because the ball is going to turn slower and it's going to give the batters a lot more time. We saw that with Khwaja and Hanscom, that they were able to go onto the back foot a lot easier, or come into the front foot a lot more easier. They were able to take their time, and that's where you feel it's not going to be as easy as it was in Nagpur for India. Australia, to be very fair, did do well, but I felt India wasted the new ball. I felt Mohammad Shami did exactly the same crimes that Pat Cummins did in the first innings of India in the last Test match. He
But
was
you know what,
all
Jen?
over
I
the
thought
place.
Siraj bowled beautifully there.
Siraj
Siraj was
was
extremely
excellent.
unlucky.
I just felt Mohammad Shami did not give him that company, because there were runs leaking on the other end. He bowled well in patches, especially that patch where he got the wicket of David Warner. That was a good period of time for India. But besides that, in the first 5 overs, I felt India, Mohammad Shami especially, was going for that glory ball, where he wanted to bring that ball in sharply, get the wicket of David Warner,
Hmm.
unsettle Australia. That's the exact same thing that Pat Cummins did. So that's where I felt a little bit where India wasted that new ball.
Yeah.
But then on, you have to say that Ashwin bowled well again. Jadeja bowled well again. They did the best they could on a pitch. On an
Hmm.
Indian pitch on day one, it's not going to be easy to get wickets anyway. So Australia
Hmm.
did what we expected of them in
And,
Nagpur
and
as
and
well.
also to add to that, Jaren, this pitch is a lot more harder and compared to Nagpur. You're not seeing
Yeah.
any loose soil, hence you're seeing a little bit of bounce as well from the surface.
Hmm.
That's where I personally feel, Indian bowlers did a very good job to get them balled out on day one. That's where the Indian team will take the positive aspect of it into the dressing room. But now coming to Strath's question as well, I personally think what Khwaja did was good, but it also had an element of luck throughout that innings, right?
And
He
I
had a lot
think
of
whatever
scramble
Khwaja
boundaries
did,
coming on third man
it
Wigan.
will not work in every innings. Like we saw KD play a 30-run knock in the first innings of the first test, trying to sweep and reverse sweep every delivery. But since then, the second innings he got nothing. Today he got out for a duck.
Yeah.
So you have to be clever with your shot selection. Even yesterday we saw Joe Root get out trying to reverse sweep
Yeah.
Wagner twice in 2 overs. So you
Yeah.
Yeah.
can't you can play one of those cheeky shots once every 2-3 overs just to unsettle the bowler. But that
Yeah.
shouldn't be your main strategy going into the game. That I'll look to just sweep and reverse sweep every delivery.
Mm.
But I think Hanscom as well. I think yeah, he
I mean,
did grind
that's
it
why
out
that's
well,
why I
but
told
he
you
was
like in
aggressive.
Hanscom's innings was a lot more assured. He
Yeah.
understood where the lengths were. He was extremely confident in his defense, and that gave India no chance at all. He gave India zero chance. Maybe that one edge which flew past Virat Kohli, but other than that, he looked completely assured of what he was doing. And the no ball wicket as well, which Mohan did mention as well. I personally think that was a no ball. It was touch and go. It's very tough to judge these. The point of landing was outside the crease. That's what they measure it with, and it could have been a no ball. And it was touch and go basically. It was not a there was not a lot of conclusivity in that particular call. You can say it could have been a no ball on it couldn't have been a no ball on another day, and today it was a no ball. So that is what it is at the end of the day. But now talking about Hanscom's innings is something where India would like to take a leaf out of. It was not a totally defensive innings. It was controlled aggression. Whenever there was an opportunity to score runs, he did put that into the fence as well. So that's why you reckon Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, everybody will take a leaf out of that book.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that is the way to go about in this pitch. I think Hanscom perfectly played. And I think he, towards the later half of his innings, he tried to become more aggressive because he was playing with the tailenders. But nonetheless, I think he did a great job. And even though he was dismissed, first I'll like to talk about Jadeja's no ball for the 10th wicket, because this is the second time in 2 games. And I think Jadeja should stop flirting with that no ball line. And he has been very close to that no ball line for quite a long time now, because we have seen Jadeja picking up crucial wickets at crucial junctures and it turning out to be no ball. So yeah, something that Jadeja can work on. Talking about Hanscom's innings, I think this should be the template, like you mentioned. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul should take a leaf out of his book. Even a Pujara, I think Pujara can score plenty of runs in this pitch if he can bat with controlled aggression. And I think just put away the loose balls, because yeah, and talking about that, I think Australia's strategy to play this third spinner came from the fact that in the last innings they were finding it very difficult to maintain the work rate of the bowlers, because two pacers couldn't have continued for a longer period of time. Hence, a lot of pressure was being put on the debutant Todd Murphy and Nathan Lyon, obviously. So today, now, tomorrow, Australia will come. They have three spinners, so they can all rotate between them, and this is always an advantage. But I'd still prefer Ashton Agar ahead of a Quinnerman. Having said that, I
Yeah.
think India will go on to score in excess of 300 runs tomorrow, and I think they should attack. They should
Yeah, they
attack this
should. They
Australian bowling.
certainly
Yeah,
should. You can't get into a shell as well in these kind of surfaces
definitely
because
not.
one ball will certainly have you in no
Talking
minutes.
about that,
Because
another day where David Warner completely went into a shell. 7 runs of
Mhm.
39 deliveries before he hit those two boundaries of Mohammad
Yeah.
Shami and got out of the next over. So
Hmm.
I don't see David Warner continuing after this test. Probably this test series for sure. In matches outside Australia, he shouldn't play because his technique looks very dicey right now. He tries to defend and then he gets out. A 43 ball knock is
But
not
you
useful for
have
your
to give
team
credit to
opening the
Mohammad
innings.
Shami. That was quite an unplayable ball. He was on the stumps. He tried to defend it and he took an edge as well. That is
But I
sheer
mean,
class of
That
Mohammad
was a
Shami,
ripper.
which
That
is
was
on
a
we have
ripper.
display
to
today.
appreciate one thing, guys. For me, it was just amazing to see how Indian fast bowlers came in and bowled today. So often, I mean, when we were younger, we used to see the Australian fast bowlers trouble Indian batters, smack them on the body, and get brutal spells of bowling from the likes of Brett Lee and all these bowlers. I mean, a list of bowlers, but to
Yeah.
see Mohammad Shami and Siraj come in and bowl the way they did in India today, not easy to produce that kind of bowling spell in India. So excellent play from them. It was aggressive. They did not hold back at all. And I mean, I know it's going to be I mean, it's going to be sore in the morning for David Warner, but it was a brutal beating that he took in the amount of deliveries that he faced. So it was just incredible fast bowling to see. I know they were not as lucky as they would have liked, but it was still great to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
absolutely. I mean,
think
I
it was
thought that particular
perfectly
spell, Siraj was
yeah.
unlucky, right? He could have
Siraj was
easily gotten
absolutely
2 to 3
unlucky,
wickets
and
on
also
another day.
talking about Mohammad Shami, I think even though he was going for that glory ball, but the only difference from what Pat Cummins did in the first test was Pat Cummins was trying to bowl those glory deliveries 3 or 4 times every over. He was trying to pitch in full. He was trying to do everything. Mohammad Shami had a plan. He was trying to get that in swinger in, and he was not trying to mix it up or do plenty of things in one go. He was just trying to get because we saw in the first innings of the first test, David Warner was just slow to that delivery. In the first innings, he got bowled of Shami's delivery. He was slow to play that shot, and I think he was just trying to do the same thing, but he was just drifting towards the pads a bit more.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
happens, and I think it was a
If you
great,
guys
great
remember,
combination.
David Warner could have been dismissed once again in the first over. The
Yeah.
decision was overturned. He had an inside edge onto the pad, or else it could have well been curtains for David Warner in the very first over.
Yeah.
And David Warner was not sure of the edge that he got. He was
Mhm.
slow to review it.
Yeah. That was it. David Warner looked extremely underconfident at this point of stage. He does not know what to do. Is it to attack? Is it to play defensive cricket? And that's where I also feel KL Rahul is in at this point of stage. And tomorrow it's going to be a big day for KL Rahul's Test career in large, because it's just not about his place in the team for this series. I am just talking about his Test career, because there are players waiting on the wings as well who are really breaking down the doors of getting into a Test squad of India. So it's going to be very important for KL Rahul to play a defining knock. And that's where someone has asked us a question as well: who's going to hold the key? Rudra has asked us the question. Also, Shafiqullah says Virat is going to be the difference. I personally think Virat is going to have a very big day. The burden of the onus is going to be Virat Kohli, because at this point of stage for Team India as well, you need your prime batter to step up in these kind of conditions. It's his home ground. Whatever you say about it, it is time for Virat Kohli to actually step up and do the job for Team India in a very crucial match like this.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be a dream come true for a lot of Indian fans. Virat Kohli will score a century in his home ground, and it's going to be a massive, massive day for him. But for me, I still think it's Rohit Sharma, because the way he bats, especially in these conditions or any condition for that matter, if Rohit Sharma is playing 50, 60 balls tomorrow, you're guaranteed he's going to score 45, 60 runs. So that's where he's not going to hang around. And that tempo he plays at makes it so difficult for the bowlers to settle down, because in Test cricket, it's always about the rhythm. ballers are looking to try and find their feet before they execute their plans. Not like white ball,
Yeah.
where ballers don't have the time, or rather ballers are looking to defend. Here, the ballers are the aggressors. So that's where Rohit Sharma's counter-attacking batting, and it's his
Yeah.
natural way as well. It's not something that he
Mm.
does out of
Yeah,
the
you
way.
mentioned the word tempo, and that's exactly what Mark Ward today was talking about it as well.
Yeah.
KL Rahul is unable to find his tempo in Test cricket. He does not know whether to rotate the strike or get into a shell or play freely. And tempo in Test cricket is so important when you have to score runs. When you know, when you talk about players like Steve Smith, when you talk about players like Joe Root who have been in good form, they've all got a they've all got a very good tempo when they are in form because runs keep coming and you rotate strike. When you just look, your score is already on 30, 40, and without you realizing, the score just goes up. That's what tempo is all about. And that also puts pressure on the opposition team. You saw that today as well. When Hanscom and Usman Khawaja was batting, there was a lot of pressure which was built up on the Indian team. The boundaries were coming for free after lunch. Indian bowlers' lengths were all over the place because they were looking to score runs at a quick succession or a quick rate as well. So that is why I personally think Indian team will also have to do a similar kind of a job. It is not to play completely aggressively, but look to score runs, rotate the strike more often. Do not get into a shell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think also with the fact that Virat Kohli, Rohit, KL Rahul, they haven't got a lot of runs in test matches of late. So I think they would just look to apply themselves in and then go after the bowling. Because we are talking about KL Rahul getting in and then getting out. Over the past 2-3 years as well, we have seen Virat Kohli too getting in and getting out in test matches. You would see Kohli play for 70-80 deliveries. You would feel that a Kohli, if he plays for 70-80 deliveries, he would be completely in. But
Yeah.
in his 20s, in his 30s, he tries to. There is, I think, a lack of concentration or something. He tries to poke one way outside the off stump,
Yeah.
tries to drive one, and then just goes gets dismissed. So I think
Right.
tomorrow, Virat Kohli, first of all, he would look to stay as far from Kuhneman as possible. Whenever Kuhneman is bowling, just go to the other end, take a single,
Mm.
and then go to the other end.
And that's what partnerships is all about. That's what being tactically astute in terms of your batting as well. Because when a bowler is going to be troubling you, take a single, go to the other end, let the other batter face it, and let the other batter take him on as well. It has happened with almost all the players, right? Even with Sachin Tendulkar, even with some of the best batters, they do this in order to get out of that particular situation, in order to get out of the
Yeah.
very good spell by a
Well, I
bowler,
mean,
and it's
if
very important as well.
best batters in Test cricket, Abel, have been the batters who are very good at taking singles, getting off strike. Because the moment you're off strike in Test cricket, a bowler has certain plans to you. Now he has to set you up because you aren't looking to go after him. So setting you up takes 3 to 4 balls. But if you take a single every second, third delivery, that plan goes haywire and the bowler has to
Yeah.
try all over again.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was, but I had heard about this legend of a bowler who used to set a field in a way that it's okay if he was smashed for a boundary as long as the same batter stood. And he used to get very upset at a fielder for misfielding and allowing a single, but he was all right if the same fielder allowed a boundary. So that's where I can understand the frustration of a bowler if batters get off strike, because then he has to switch his plans to the other batter and switch his field. It takes a little time. The ball is thrown out of the rhythm, and when that keeps happening on a regular interval, it's very difficult. So that's where, especially someone like Virat Kohli, is so good at in all 3 formats. Whether it be T20, one day or Test, he's very good at getting off strike. But I think as of now, Kohli is still searching for the red ball form. We know he can do it, but I think and to be fair, I really think it's just a matter of time. And I think Virat Kohli is there, at least in terms of his form. It's just about converting it.
Absolutely. I also feel the same. It's just about that one knock, right? Which will come around the corner. Now you really have to you'll have to be completely focused on the knock. You might have to score some ugly runs, but then once you get those
Yeah.
runs coming your way, then you'll feel a lot more confident. All the
And
runs in
I
Test cricket
think
might
it's
not be the
it's
most
just a
beautiful
matter
runs,
of time because Kohli even he does not need a lot of luck to score those runs because with Kohli you have the smoothness with which he goes on about his innings. You wouldn't realize that in his earlier years, I think Kohli was one of the very few batsmen who used to get beaten very like once in 100 150 deliveries would you see Kohli get bitten, especially of the inside edge. as we have moved in the like towards the later half of his career in the last 3 or 4 years, we have seen that ball coming in, do the job for the bowlers more often than not. But I think Kohli, to get a century, I think he also needs that bit of luck. Not get dismissed off a ball that is drifting down the leg side, just poking at it and getting out. If
Mm,
things like that does not happen, I think Kohli is good to go and get a century in the first innings itself. And I think
absolutely.
India should look to bat only one innings. Kapil mentioned a very
I
good point.
mean,
India
getting
should.
getting a lead of 200 or 300 in this wicket is a little too much of an ask, isn't it?
No,
Because
but I
three
think
argument
200
makes
is
looking for
reasonable.
563 runs.
Yeah, 300 is a bit too much, but I think 460, 450, India should be looking. India should
I
at least
agree.
look to get 450 to 500 in that first innings, because
I think also
nobody would
because
want
India
to.
is
Yeah.
batting second, you really don't need a lead of 200, 300. Obviously, if a lead of 200, 300 comes and Australia is buried, there's no way for Australia to win. It's only a draw that's possible.
Yeah.
But having said that, because India is batting second, a lead of 150 is huge in itself, because then that means Australia has to score 350 in the third innings to set up a target of 200. For me, I think that's a target Australia will hope, or that's a target Australia will look for in the third innings. Anything about 200, I still feel it's not going to be that difficult to bat on this pitch like it would have been in Nagpur. Still think, yeah, there's going to be an odd ball that's going to nip a bit here and there, or an odd ball that's going to turn ferociously. But otherwise, I think batters won't find it difficult if
Yeah.
they play this 30,
You
40
saw that.
delivery.
You saw that today
Yeah,
throughout the innings. It wasn't like Nagpur where the ball was turning quite sharply with pace. It was a lot more slower, which means Indian batters should be able to adjust. And I don't think the last 1 hour of play should be judged by any matter, because Indian batters really want to shutter down the runs. Indian batters were just looking out for this closer play rather, and that's the
yeah.
most toughest period of to was the most toughest period to bat in a test match, right? To come in the last 10 overs and to survive, not to let any wicket go. You're in two kind of minds as well, whether to score runs or whether to shut it down as well. So tomorrow, Indian batters will be a lot more rejuvenated. The pitch will be well rolled tomorrow, and you'll get the best batting conditions on day two. And if
And you
Firoz Shah goes
often
in,
often hear
obviously
that
he
second
was
day is
the
the
key
best
in the
day for
last.
batting in a test.
Yeah, absolutely. But you never know with these kind of pitches, right? Could be even worse than what it was in day one, as they say. Now in Indian conditions, day one is the best day to bat. But I expect day two to stay even slightly closer to what it was in day one, and it should be easier for Team India at least, because we are playing some of the most toughest pitches than this.
But
We
I would
played some of
still
the most
feel
tough
a
West
target of
Ahmedabad tonight.
150, anything in excess of, if Australia can manage a target in anything in excess of 150, they are going to be pretty happy, because in the fourth innings, come the fourth or the fifth day or the third, towards the later half of the third day, I think
Yeah,
they are going to find it very difficult to score even 150 runs, because the pitches are going to deteriorate come the third or the fourth day. Slowly, probably in the third day, but fourth and fifth day are going to be very difficult to bat on. So for me, the approach should be to get as much as you can, and with the batting depth that you have, Mohammad Shami coming in at number 10. I think I read a comment where somebody was saying they should float in a Shami at towards the
Yeah.
top of the order as a pinch
but that's
hitter.
not a
But
bad
I think
idea, isn't it? Because if
it
Shami can
isn't
come
a
in and
bad
score
idea, but I
30
think
runs,
Akshar
40
Patel will
runs,
take offense to that, coming in at number 10. I think, especially after scoring 84 runs, you don't deserve to come in at number 10 in
Also,
the
I
next game.
feel to that was not a bad idea. If you had some sort of a power play setting or something like that. But now in Test cricket, I,
Yeah.
I really don't think that's the best way to go, because when Mohammad Shami will come out to bat eventually in the batting order, he comes out to bat at a time where most likely, or at least ordinarily, the ballers are tired, just hoping for a respite, hoping that Mohammad Shami and Siraj gets out. So that's where we saw in the previous innings, right? Where India really took control of the game was when Australian bowlers were tired and the tailenders had come out to bat. So if Australian bowlers are rejuvenated and they are playing and they're bowling, it'll be much easier for them to dismiss the likes of Mohammad Shami and Siraj, rather in comparison to when they're coming lower down the order and Australian bowlers and fielders are tired after a long day's fielding. So I think that's where maybe the better way to go is, to keep them where they are.
yeah, that's a good point as well. There's a question on whether Bengal can come back into the final, because, as you all know, Saurashtra has taken a
Yeah.
decent amount of lead, and
Which
it's
is
it's it's almost
heartbreaking.
like a repeat of what happened in 2019, where Bengal went down fighting in Saurashtra. Your thoughts, Sandibani? You're the better person to say on this, because Vasavada is again there to again disrupt Bengal's title hopes, and Manoj Tiwari might not end up winning a trophy for Bengal, because he's been in four finals and it's all not gone his way.
Yeah, and I think it's so heartbreaking and sad. Almost it's sad for Bengal. But I mean, no excuse with the way they started in the first game, for first day itself. I think they were 64 for 6 or 60 for 6, something
Yeah,
like that. And it was only the contributions
Yeah.
of Ishan Porel and Shahbaz Ahmed that allowed them to
Well,
get to a score of
Abhishek
170.
Porel and
Yeah,
Shahbaz
Abhishek
Ahmed.
Porel and
Abhishek
Shahbaz
Porel.
Yeah.
Ahmed that allowed them to get to a score of 174. But having said that, yeah, Vasavada and I think also Chirag Jani, they have been building a strong partnership in excess of 100 runs, and I think they had a chance. Bengal had Saurashtra at 100 something for 4,
But I
100 and
think
910
tomorrow,
for 4.
Sandipani, so for me, what is really interesting in the first session, the ball nipped around as if it was happening in Lords. And second and third session, that's where the partnership event came in. I feel the morning session tomorrow is going to be very crucial because we know West Bengal has got an amazing set of bowlers. They've got Ishan Porel, they've got Mukesh Kumar, and who's the third? I don't remember the third
Akashdeep,
bowler.
Akashdeep
Akashdeep.
Singh.
Yes, so Akshdeep Singh. So these are the three bowlers who are going to make it very difficult tomorrow morning for Saurashtra. That is where Sayani Gupta's question. Bengal's best chance to make a comeback is tomorrow morning, the first session.
But with they
Even if they
already
do, now
Saurashtra
the
already
English
has
close
a
to
lead of
150.
1-1.
But
Yeah,
again,
it's
yeah, another issue also is the fact that the ball is older than what was in the hands of Chetan Sakaria
Jaydev
I
Unadkat.
forgot the other guy.
Jaydev Unadkat.
Yes, Jaydev Unadkat. The ball is much more new, and in comparison, the Bengal bowlers don't have the luxury of a new ball. So that's where maybe the chances are so low, but you still never know because the
No,
pitch
but
is there is
I'll
something
I'll
in the pitch, and I feel in the new early in the morning
Even
there will
that's the
be a
case,
lot more
Jaren.
better chances.
Now tomorrow is what, day 3 of a contest. They still
yeah.
have to give a lead of what, 200 at least from there on, score another
And
350,
then go on to
400 runs.
dismiss Saurashtra on the
They have to
within
dismiss
the next
Saurashtra
day.
once again. Saurashtra has been one of
So
the best batting in that
they'll
tournament.
have to pick up 15 Saurashtrian wickets in the next 3 days and go on to score something in excess of 400 at least. So that looks highly unlikely. And then I think it's safe to say that Saurashtra are going to be the champions once again. And heartbreak for Manoj Tiwari, but a great campaign, another great season for Bengal. I think they are getting
I mean,
there.
they've been coming
They'll see.
extremely close and they're missing out on the last footing, isn't it? They've been coming extremely close almost every campaign, last season semi-final, before that final, and they've just not been able to cross that particular line. And you have to give credit to the pace attack. Now they have a pace attack to pick 20 wickets on any surfaces. Coming to the final has made it a norm, at least come to
And
the
add to that
semi-final
the
as well.
all-round prowess of Shahbaz Ahmed. I think he has been
Yeah.
a great player for them as well, coming in, day out,
You
because
know, this
he's
is where
their.
I feel a
Yeah.
batter like Abhimanyu Ishwaran, if he needs an India call-up, he needs to perform in situations like this. On
A
a
duck
Ranji
wouldn't
final,
help.
on a
Yeah.
tough surface, this was his act. This was his opportunity to really tell to the selectors. I mean, to selectors, the chief selectors out, to selectors that yeah, here I am, and take a look at me, because that could be a possible way in which he could also break it in the Indian team. Now with KL Rahul's position also hanging on a rope, you never know, right? A player scoring a Ranji 100 on a very tough surface, and a player like Abhimanyu Ishwan, who's already made a lot of noise, he could have possibly gotten a chance in the next series India plays.
Hmm.
Fair enough. But I still feel that is a long shot away because Abhimanyu Ishwaran, the problem with him is he doesn't score in big matches.
Yeah.
Come the big matches, you see Abhimanyu Ishwaran struggle. So
And
I
that's
think
that's
he's.
not that's the kind of players you don't want in Team India at this point of stage because
Yeah, and I
you have
think
plenty of them already.
exactly. Exactly, and I think the fact that he is under a lot of pressure, come the important situations, and he's unable to succumb. He gets succumbed under the pressure. It's not positive signs for Ishwaran, and I think he came pretty close to selection on one prior occasion as well, but didn't get
Yeah,
a
he
call
did. He
up
did.
because
The
of this reason.
WTC final, he came very close against it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Because of this very reason, he looked extremely underconfident against the moving ball as well. So he has got technical issues. I think that's going to be sorted out very quickly.
exactly.
Um, yeah. Now, before we end the live, your thoughts, gentlemen, for tomorrow's day.
Yeah, for me, I think Australia will obviously look to get early wickets. KL Rahul, they will expect is a given. Although I really hope it's not. I really hope he turns it around because you never know. A moment like what we saw today with Usman Khawaja, where he took that catch, could really bring him back. and that could be the start of KL Rahul's confidence. The break that he requires, because it's a mental block. We've spoken about it a lot. He's finding ways to get out at this point in time. It is a mental block. Maybe that's what he required. That kind of magic. Maybe we expect an innings because again, KL Rahul is a batter. If he gets going in Indian conditions, can do a lot of damage. Important though for India is going to be Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, two players. I think they will be hoping continue, or at least Rohit Sharma continues his form and Virat Kohli comes back to form in Test cricket. And I think if Australia don't get a wicket in the first 10 overs, it's going to be very difficult for them, especially given the fact that they only have one fast bowler. So you don't want, what do you say? You don't want only Pat Cummins. I think there was a comment from Mohan earlier that Pat Cummins will be having all the burden because he does. Initially in the morning session, the ball does tend to nip around a bit, especially in North, in conditions, and in Delhi. The ball will do a little bit in the morning session. So that's where Pat Cummins is needed. And interesting to see how Kuhneman goes about his business tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good one as well. Sandeep, your thoughts for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think India will not lose more than 6 wickets tomorrow. I don't expect Akshar Patel to come into bat tomorrow. And I also feel that Australia are going to find it very difficult early on because whatever Jerin mentioned, that they don't have a second fast bowler to assist Pat Cummins, so they'll have to go with Pat Cummins from one end and probably a Nathan Lyon or a Matthew Kuhneman from the other end, and then probably Todd Murphy will come in towards the later part of the first.
Also,
first
the risk about the Sandimani is the fact that you only have Nathan Lyon and Pat Cummins who have come to India before. So now you have Todd Murphy's done an excellent job, yes, in the first test, but now India has seen enough of him. Now the issue is what happens if Murphy and Kuhneman start leaking runs. Who do you go to? How long do you ball Nathan Lyon? The only reason I see them going with Kuhneman, Todd Murphy, and Pat Cummins is because they felt last time around Nathan Lyon and Todd Murphy had a lot of burden on them, and they could not shift that burden or find anyone else. They had to go to Manas Labuschagne, Steve Smith, again, as I mentioned in the final session where Jadeja and Akshar Patel made hay when the sun shone, as you would say. But issue I feel is they've gone all wrong about it, because I still felt you could have gone to Scott Boland a lot more often. I know he didn't look like a wicket-taking bowler, but he was putting that pressure on, and you never know what a batter can do when pressure is put on, especially in the conditions in Nagpur. At that point in time, you had to put a little bit of pressure, and I felt they underutilized Scott Boland, and to drop him in this test is a little too cruel.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel tomorrow India, if the pitch continues to stay the way it did on day one, India are not going to lose more than 6 wickets, and we are going to see probably a score in excess of 300, somewhere close to 300 for 6 at the end of day 2.
Yeah. I think I'm facing some connectivity issue. I request you both to carry on for some time. Then let me just rejoin again and see how
So I
things
think we
go.
can almost end the live, right?
No, I think we can just talk about the England versus New Zealand game because we haven't covered it tonight.
So while
Yeah.
we do that, Abel can go ahead and fix his connectivity. But yeah, Abel, not Abel, rather. Sandivani, what do you reckon? Looking at the score, England are batting again. They're 79 for 2 after their first innings declaration. Now, first of all, let's start with
the declaration was a bold call. I mean, they knew that they wanted at least a couple of overs from James Anderson and Stuart Broad towards the to the New Zealand openers, and they were very successful. I think that declaration resulted in them picking up 1 or 2 extra wickets. They picked up 3 wickets at the end of the day 1. Yeah. But I think it was a brilliant fight back from New Zealand from 37 for 3 to end up scoring in excess a bit in excess of 300. I think 304, 5, 6, whatever they got. I think Tom Blundell, brilliant knock. He has been there around the corners after BJ Watling sort of took a retirement. Tom Blundell had shown that he could be a good enough replacement for that wicketkeeper position for New Zealand. And I think this innings will do him a lot of good. And especially with the way he carried on with the tailenders, I think he added those 60-70 runs towards the end, which brought New Zealand closer to England's total, and they are not facing a huge deficit, a deficit of 20. And once again, James Anderson, what a class act. 2 wickets yesterday.
he has taken wickets every year in the last 21 years. That's just incredible for a fast bowler. And I know he plays in England. It's not that difficult compared to maybe in India, where if you bowling 20 overs in England, you might not break a sweat as compared to bowling 20 overs in India. Fair enough, granted. But to come again and again and again and again and again at the batters, I think he's truly. I think what Ashwin is for spinners, I think that's what James Anderson has been for fast bowlers, because he finds
Definitely.
a way. He finds he's a thinking cricketer. He just finds a way, and it's just
And if bowling
incredible.
in
Yeah,
England injuryless would have been the case, we would have probably seen a Matthew Hoggard or a Steve
yeah,
Harmison carry on for longer periods of time. But we never saw Stephen Finn. There were players coming in and going out, but James Anderson has maintained his place. Not just the fitness, the way he bowls, the line, length, everything.
yeah.
The way he was, I mean, it looks like it is unplayable at times. Yeah, the pitch was assisting the pieces. You expect that when you go to New Zealand. But once again, Ollie Robinson is a bright, great prospect for England, and the 4 wickets
Yeah.
that he picked up again goes to show the amount of talent that he has. Stuart Broad, James Anderson. James Anderson was fabulous. Ollie Robinson did a good job, and Stuart Broad was okay. So I
Yeah.
think we have a game on our hands with England. I think having a lead in excess of 100 with 8 wickets in hand, we expect them to capitalize tomorrow. And if we get to see baseball tomorrow, the way they play, I think by the end of tomorrow, we would know who is going to win the game. Because if England get to bat for another 60, 70 overs, they are going to put a target in excess of 350 for sure for New Zealand.
True.
And that is going to be very difficult to chase. Having said that, I think New Zealand, if you expect a total of 350, 400 being chased down on the fourth or the fifth day, if there has to be one place, it has to be New Zealand. And with Devon Conway being there, Kane Williamson, they have the batting lineup, Tom Latham, and also with Tom Blundell doing what he did at number 6. And also, I think Daryl Mitchell had a brilliant brilliant test series prior to this one. He was in red hot form. So I think they have the batting, and we have a
Yeah.
good game on our hands. It's a
Yeah.
perfect balance.
Absolutely.
But the only
Absolutely.
thing is that I feel New Zealand are missing their pro bowlers, so as to say. Tim Southee does not
Hmm.
have much support. You have a Neil
Correct.
Wagner,
Yeah.
but then you have the inexperience
I think
of
in these conditions, a
yeah.
certain Trent Bolt would have been decimating an English lineup. I still feel Tim Southee and Trent Bolt together were just an amazing partnership. It's just unfortunate that Trent Bolt is not playing in this team in these conditions. It would have been incredible to see him go about his business. But let's talk about we obviously talk about Tom Blundell and Devon Conway. But now one thing I feel, Sandimani, that England really has to worry about is also the fact that it's only day two. They will have to still bat throughout day three. It's not going to be easy, because that's the thing with pink ball, right? Pink ball, it gets much more difficult to play as the day progresses, because on a day three or a day four, when the ball starts turning that little bit, it's just impossible, because suddenly the ball is swinging, it's turning, everything is happening. And as a batter, it's very difficult, because it's like bat. That's the reason why I think pink ball is so much more difficult to play in Asian conditions, for instance, because it's going to swing and it's going to spin regardless. So now that's going to come into play, and England will have to bat at least for a day. They cannot hope to, bat for half for 2 sessions, and even if they do end up scoring 300 plus, but only batting 2 sessions is not going to do, because you're going to give New Zealand that amount of time to chase down the target. It is, I know what they like. They like having the odds, reducing the odds of a draw. But regardless, you want to make sure you bat out the opposition, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think if the conditions are good for batting tomorrow as well, like it was, I mean, it was not exactly good for batting, but it was a decent enough pitch. And we saw it was testament to the fact that both the teams went on to score in excess of 300. So it's been a good pitch. There are no monsters or demons which you expect from Asian subcontinent conditions.
Yeah.
So or England or a first day Australian conditions like right at the start. But I think, having said that, I would totally agree with you. Pink ball, it is going to be difficult to bat. But having said that, it's still advantage England. New Zealand does not have the bowling depth. They only have a Tim Southee and a Neil Wagner, followed by two youngsters. in the form of Tickner and Kuglen, if that is the way he pronounces his name. And also there is Michael Bresswell. So I think they don't have the experience when it comes to bowling. This
Yeah.
is not the fearsome quartet. The likes of Trent Bolt is missing. There is no Matt Henry, no Lockie Ferguson. So it's going to be, and also no Kyle Jamieson.
Jameson.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be advantage England for sure, because they have lost only 2 wickets. Joe Root is still in the shed. We saw the night watchman Stuart Broad come in and survive the rest of the day. So I probably expect a score in excess of 350 at least, and I expect a target in close to 400 for New Zealand, and I think they are going to find it very difficult to chase it down. No matter what the conditions are, a total of 400 on the last day when you are playing like New Zealand. I mean, they went on to score 300, but the way they started, they were just looking to play throughout the night. They were just trying to play time. And I think we have reached a point of time in test matches in general where you can't play time. You have to play to
Yeah.
score runs. And
Yeah. True.
that's I think all about the England versus New Zealand game.
I mean, even
But
looking
I
back
do
to
hope
this.
but I do hope Bengal bounces back tomorrow. 6 early
Yeah,
wickets, but
I
still it's going to be
feel
very difficult.
for me, I really felt, you couldn't really blame Bengal as well, because the ball was just jagging around. It was an impossible condition to bat in that first session. And Jaydev Unadkat, Chetan Sakaria, two very good bowlers with a new ball. We've seen that in the IPL as well. At least in the glory days of Jaydev Unadkat, but Chetan Sakaria is a bright young talent.
Chetan Sakaria is a
Uh,
great bowler, and I think Chetan
yeah.
Sakaria is one of those underrated bowlers. And I think if he would have got the sort of backing that a Natarajan got to be bolstered into the Test squad, the ODI squad, and for some, I mean, ODI squad,
For me, I
T20I
think for
squad.
me, when you blame the Delhi squad for that, I really didn't understand why they brought Chetan Sakaria in the first place. They didn't give him
Yeah,
any game. He himself came out and said that he felt very what do you say, discouraged in the Delhi. I'm talking about Delhi Capital setup.
yeah.
In the Delhi Capital setup, while the matches were going on, he was never selected. I think Khalil Ahmed was the one who was always given preference above him. So in that sense, I felt after his great performance in Rajasthan, for Rajasthan Royals in the IPL, he never really got going for Delhi Capitals because he never got a chance. I hope this time around they give him the chance. Again, they brought Mukesh Kumar in, which is surprising because I did not understand why you need so many Indian bowlers when you're not going to play all of them. I feel, again, I know it's not really a connection between IPL and Ranji Trophy. He's been playing well in Ranji Trophy for 2 years, I think now.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, IPL is the only way for you to get into Indian team.
No, but I also feel he has been doing a decent job whenever he has got an opportunity in IPL as well. Chetan Sakaria
Yeah,
has one of the best Yorkers, and I think in this Indian team, and I think he is one of the best death over bowlers for Team India right now. Even if he comes straight
true.
into the T20I setup for Team India, I think he would do a decent enough job because he balls those 2 overs up front. He gets the swing, and
Hmm.
a left hander coming to you early on is always not very
Correct.
comfortable for the batsman. And towards the later half of the game, he has that slower delivery, he has the Yorker, and I think he is a better option when you compare him to Khalil Ahmed. And also, I think with Shardul Thakur gone, I think they have that space for Chetan Sakaria to fit into the team. Not so sure of Mukesh Kumar though. I think Mukesh Kumar is more of a test bowler, is more of a a longer period bowler. You can't expect
Yeah.
Mukesh Kumar to come in and give you those death over bowlers, and I think he'll do what Akash Deep did for RCB. He'll come good for you in some of the games, but
Hmm.
more often than not, he'll go for runs. But that is
Yeah, yeah.
something that he'll have to accept. For young talents, he'll have to give them the space to grow. And I think that is where that is why we have seen how Umran Malik has thrived. Umran Malik, if he would have been sort of dropped after conceding 50-55 runs in 1 or 2 IPL games because he had the pace, he did not have the consistency or the line and length to carry on bowling for longer periods of time. But I think he's working on it, and you have to give these players the
Hmm.
space to sort of grow themselves. And I think that is
Yeah.
where Chetan Sakaria will grow in this IPL. And I think he's one of the more underrated bowlers in this country.
Yeah, also given the fact that he's
Yeah,
developed
absolutely.
his batting as well in the previous few
Yeah.
matches, he might
Hmm.
be an interesting pick to develop for a longer period of time. But yeah, interesting to see how Chetan Sakaria's career goes, because really excited the way he bowled today was incredible, like a
Hmm.
seasoned swing bowler on a green top. He was just too good for Bengal, and I really won't blame the batters as much as I would give credit to the Saurashtra bowlers.
But Saurashtra bowlers have been outstanding throughout the course of the season. And it's good that Jaydev Unadkar is given that opportunity to go play the Ranji final as well. Gives them a
Yeah.
lot of confidence. I think on that note, we can maybe end this live. I think we've discussed almost everything on today's day and Chetan Sakaria, Chetan Sharma, everybody. So that's about
All
it,
the Chetans,
it from
even
us.
Bhagat.
And also Chetan Bhagat as well. That's all. Today was like a Chaitania's day. So that's it from us. Thank you all for joining. It was wonderful taking all your questions. And do remember to play all our contests on Boom 11. You can also try the predictor feature. It's absolutely free of cost. Go out there, predict, and win some prizes for absolute free of cost. And also play our fantasy contest as well. If you want to be a fantasy pro, challenge your friends, challenge your known ones as well. Be a champion in playing Boomer 11 for absolute free of cost. You lose. There's zero financial risk in doing that. So all what you gain is winning prizes. So do not waste any time. It just takes few minutes to make your teams. There is a lot of football matches happening across the world, and also there is a lot of cricket matches as well. So PSL is going on if you people do not know already. So there will be cricketing action and footballing action throughout the course of the year, and Boom 11 is there for you to have an extra bit of enjoyment through the course of the sports season. Bye bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Good night, guys.